Hey guys, Andy and Spoken Label back in the house on a Sunday evening. Yes, yeah, it's been a busy day today. It's my second Spoken Label podcast of the day, but they're not getting released in order because I'm awkward like that. Now, I think this guest today's in Stockport. Am I right, Linda? Before I started,
Yes.
right, it's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, there's a story behind this today because we've got a fantastic Linda Cosgriff with us today. Now, Linda, we've just worked out we first met in 2010, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's a long, long time ago, yeah. Because we're both members of Write Out Loud Stockport, which is a monthly group that meets over at the Art Gallery in Stockport. It's a tremendous writing group. Now, you just told me, Linda, you were at the very first one of that, weren't
Yeah.
you, as well?
I was.
And I
Yeah.
came along about a couple months later. We've both been
Mhm.
there one way or another ever since, really, haven't we? So,
Yeah. I was terrified. My knees were knocking together. It's the first time I'd ever read anything. Um,
oh, but I think I'd been active for a couple of years by that stage, but that was just before I got diabetes, and when my health failed the year after, it meant a lot to me to go back to see everybody there because everybody was just so supportive, and I was so ill a good year afterwards. So, and I know yourself, like you've had. I'm not going to
yeah.
go into a lot of personal details, but you've had
Quite a few
lifestyle
health issues.
lifestyle
Yeah. Yeah.
problems. Is that a good way of putting it,
Yeah.
right? But we always give you a big hug now when you came back to us as well. So yeah. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to cover a lot of ground today, guys and girls, because Linda, like me, has got a fingers in a lot of pies. Is that's probably a good way of putting it, Linda, isn't it,
Yes,
really?
it
So
is. It's perfect, actually.
right now, what we need to look at first of all is obviously tell us about where did all your creativity come from originally?
Oh, well, I mean, almost as soon as I could write, I was writing poems. Yeah, I have no other creativity. I can't draw or I can barely cook. I can't do crafting, anything like that.
If you ever met
But
your husband, I'm sure he'd agree with me on that one as well.
yeah, but yeah, I've written since infant school, really, if I'm honest. So it's just something that's in me, and I have to do it.
No, I understand the same for me because I started when I was 11, I think it was. 10 or
Yeah,
11, yeah, something similar. And it's like 40 odd years later, because I'm still at it.
yeah,
And your
yeah,
case is a couple of years before that, right?
yeah.
So
More than 40 years.
I didn't say that, right? So no, okay. Yeah, now obviously, yeah, I said for in your case, like I said this has led you on down all kinds of paths in your creativity and your writing. So the first thing I want to talk about is I know you were a founder member, weren't you, of Stockport Writers, which is
That's
still
right.
going as well. So you better tell us about that then next. Because is it still at the hat factory nowadays in Stockport, that?
No, no, we've moved since then.
Oh,
What what
useless I am.
happened was back when before the recession and the council had money for the arts, the art gallery had a poet in residence, and they ran a couple of free writing workshops for Stockport residents, and there were about 20 of us. There were at the two workshops, and at the end of the second one, the poet Terry McCaffrey, it was, he said to us, right, I'll see you all on Wednesday. And we all looked at him and he said, you do know the whole point of these workshops was for you to read your poems out at Bramall Hall on Wednesday evening in the break. Manchester Camerata are playing and you're going to read in the break. And we said, no, we didn't know that.
Whoops.
so, so five of us turned up on the Wednesday evening. And Terry introduced us as Stockport Art Gallery Writing Group. And
Ah,
yeah, Jane Fallows, who was one of the five, she a light bulb went up in her head, and afterwards she said to us, "We should start that group." So we did, and she was the driving force behind it. And um, she spoke to the art gallery and the council, and they said, as long as we are we have we're in a room while it's staffed, while the museum is open, the art gallery is open, then we wouldn't have to pay. So we've never had to charge anyone to
fantastic.
yeah to be a member. So we're a community group. We're at the art gallery. Then it closed with the recession. It was closed on the weekends, so we were moved to the Hatworks, and then the mental health charity took over that space. So now we are at Stockport Story Museum Staircase House.
Where
and we
where
are
is that?
still free.
Where is that for people interested in
It's
terms of?
it's in the marketplace. You can see the indoor market hall from the window, so it's just opposite.
Ah, right. I see. It shows you
Yeah.
how out of date my information is. I didn't even know this.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, and we meet on the second Sunday of the month, except November when it's the third, and it's from 11 till 1. It's absolutely free, and we call them meetings, but actually they are monthly writing workshops. That's just to
Brilliant.
give people a time and space to write in their busy lives.
Brilliant. What we'll do at the end of the podcast, or this part, I'll ask you for contact details for that as well, but
Yeah.
we'll do that later. Okay, now in relation to yourself, then I know you've just been telling me as well. I didn't know which of these were, but I know you're a writer in residence, aren't you? Is it two community groups and one
Uh,
charity?
yes, I'm a writer in residence for ARC, the mental health charity. We took over our space, but that was by the by. I'm writing in residence for Stockport Women's Networking Group, and I've just gone blank. You put me on the
Typical.
spot. Oh, Friendly Fridays,
Yeah, I'll see.
which is a wonderful community group in Cheadle Heath, for them as well. So,
Wow. How do you balance all that? Because like that would have my head going like that.
well, I don't go out to work, so that means I have the time at home. I can do these
Oh,
things. So,
fair enough. Fair play to you in that way
yeah.
then, because otherwise my head would explode. I know it would if I was trying to do all that. So, good luck. Well done for your mind just straight away. Now, next I would ask you about this, and this happened back when I think suspecting when you were a wee lass, let's put it like that, was when research did pull up before you, you've done a one act play, haven't you, in Liverpool Everyman Theatre?
Yes. So I was at school, was in lower sixth, as it was called then, and I went on again, council had lots of money for the arts. I went on a playwriting course, and uh, no, sorry, let me get my facts straight. This was a
Oh,
very long time. This was a very long time ago. No, it was something I was heavily into drama at that point, and it was something I typed up in the drama studio. A little one act. It's only 2 pages long. It's called Glug, and it was quite an existential piece. And it was a bit of fun, and showed it to my drama teacher. And unknown to me, there was a playwriting course that had run successfully, and they decided they would stage the plays that came from it at the Everyman Theatre one night.
wow.
And he used my piece for two of the girls in year 5 to audition for that. And the Mark Fisher, who was then, I think he became an MP later on. He was in charge, and he really liked it. He said, "Where did this come from?" And when my teacher told him, he said, "Oh, can we include it?" And it was actually because it's so short. They staged it 3 times, three
Wow.
interpretations.
Oh, it's
But
still something to
so
be proud of anyway, isn't it? So
yeah, yeah. So it's yeah. I know it was a student production, just one night, but I have had a piece of work staged at the Everyman Theatre in Liverpool, and nobody can take that away from me.
no
No,
way. They cannot
no.
definitely that one. Yeah, so brilliant. Now, in relation to books, like I said
Yeah,
before, to date you've done 3 books. And I've got the first two somewhere, or
yeah.
the first one was a free download, and the second one I couldn't find it before, so trying to research you, but I've got the third one, which will come on to a moment. So tell us briefly, this isn't about these 2 books. Tell us about Holy Man and I'm going to get his pronunciation wrong as well. Hormonal, right?
Oh,
I'm hoping I've not pronounced
that's a
that right.
whole different book, Andy.
Yes, that's your adult fiction book, isn't it?
No,
It's
it's hormonal.
hormonal, right. Well,
Hormonal.
Nigel, if you're listening to this, I'm blaming you for this. It's Nigel Astle from our Stockport group. Right, oh, I know. Tell us
Yes.
about brief of those 2 books, and not going to mention the name of the second one again. So I'll
Okay.
make a complete Twitter myself.
So hormonal is actually spelt with moan, the word moan in the middle, rather than the traditional spelling, because I love a pun. Um, that came about. I knew I was starting the change, and I thought, well, if I'm so naive, if I'm going to do this for 5 years, I'm going to get something out of it. So I just wrote poems about all different experiences and put them together. So that was hormonal, and there aren't enough menopause poems to fill a book. So the other half is about motherhood, just my experience of motherhood. So
Yes, fair play. And where did the idea for your free download come from, Holy Man, which people can still download as well on your
okay.
website?
So Holy Man, that's spelled
Yeah,
Wholy. So it's about the life of Jesus as a man rather than as the Son of God. Because people think of him as the Messiah and the Christ and whatever. Yeah, he is. But he also was a living human being. So I just wanted to write that aspect. So that's where that came from.
yeah, and it's very good. Both books are so
Thank you.
they're quite different, but the pairing them obviously
Yeah,
to your current book. Now, your current book, which we had to say touches on quite really, is Tales from the Rainbow Nation, which is
yeah,
your really, I think, is your most personal book to date, anyway.
yes, yeah,
Now,
it is.
and what I know of you, this has been in a while. This has been on the go for a while. This book as well, hasn't it? So,
Yeah, about 32 years.
really, bloody hell,
Yeah,
no, I didn't know that much.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
wow, good
I
grief.
wrote a few of the poems while I was living in South Africa.
Oh, I think we should
Oh,
clarify
yeah.
first of all, shouldn't we, that
Yeah.
you about your South African background before we carry on there, really.
Yeah, well, when I was 18, my dad was going to be made redundant, and we had family out in South Africa, 1982. So we moved out there as a family over my strong objection. Um, and then I was there for 14 years, and we came back in 1996. So I wasn't really writing. I wrote as a child, I wrote as a teenager, got married, had children, too busy, didn't write for years, apart from a couple of poems about South Africa. And then came back here and started writing about my experience. I believe in writing as therapy, and that's what these poems were for me, just writing about the whole experience. Took a long time. Most of the poems were written over about a 20-year period. When I came to put the collection together properly for a publisher, I felt there were some aspects of the whole experience that were missing. So I wrote a few more poems just to sort of finish off the collection and make it more complete.
And it's fascinating, but like I said, we've been about your life in South Africa. And first, we have to clarify first of all, what was the obviously people that know South African history, they would recognize the two people on the front cover.
Yeah.
Now, what made you want to put, and I'm not going to say who they were, people can check it out for themselves, there's two rather famous people on the front cover.
Well, it was my husband's suggestion. Didn't know what to do for the cover, and he said, you should put the flag on, and you should have these two key figures. So that's what it was his idea, and I thought, yeah, definitely, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Went past my publisher, and she loved it. So
yeah, it's very striking straight away. The cover works really
mm,
well. It reads the point straight away. Yeah, I agree completely. Now, the structure of the book is quite unusual, actually, I think,
mm.
because obviously, like it's a mixture of memoir, perhaps prose, and a mixture of poetry, where a lot of it is a poem, then the memoir or prose that goes with it. Now, was this always going to be the plan with this book?
Well, what happened was, about 2012, I'd written a lot of the poems, didn't know what to do with them, and I was writing a blog, The Laughing Housewife, at that point, which was a humour blog, and they didn't fit that blog, so I thought I'll just start a blog about South Africa. And I posted a poem at a time, and out of context, they didn't make sense to readers, so I gave the background story to each poem that I wrote, so people would understand what they were reading. Um, and then, I sort of put it away and didn't do anything with it. Didn't, never thought about submitting, you know. And then a few years later, I was writing more and more, and I did send it off to a couple of publishers. No joy, they weren't interested. Fair enough, just put it away. But I'd always felt that, I just sent off the poems to the publishers. So again, they had no
Ah,
context, and I think that made the
mistake.
difference.
Slight mistake there,
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah,
yeah. But because it doesn't really fit any genre, does it? Because it is poetry, it is memoir. It doesn't. Where they're going to put it on a bookshelf, in a bookshop. So and I knew that was an issue. So I never really worried about it because I always write first and foremost for myself.
Yeah, best way.
If I get published, that's great, but that's not why I write, you know. So I was really, this was the book I would have liked to publish first, but publishers weren't interested until Seven Arches.
Yeah,
So
who are a fantastic press anyway, because I've dealt with Jane
yes,
before, because
yeah,
they did an anthology, I think their very first book
yeah.
on Peterloo,
Oh
which
yes, yeah,
me and Amanda are both in that one we are.
yeah.
And I always remember the first launch you had on that, and I don't think you were there. And
No,
don't know if you know the story behind this. Nicola Human, we both know and
yes.
love. She was there reading a poem out she was, and they opened the mic up to like an open mic sign at the end of it, and her daughter turned around and says to her, "Oh, can I have a go, Mum?" And she hadn't even told her she was writing poetry.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah, so
amazing.
that's why I mean, it's like I said, if you ever speak to Nicola about it, Nicola always remembers that she does. Her
Yeah.
daughter left a gobsmacked. With me gobsmacked as well, but she's brilliant. That's stuff to her day. But yeah, Seven Arts Press, they're good press, don't she? Really good press.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I sent Jane. I sent her the two copies. I sent her just the poems and the poems with the
Mm,
memoir, and I said it's up to you. Whichever you're interested in. I'd be happy if either was published. But she liked the memoir because it just gives the poems context,
yeah,
which
definitely does.
you
It's
think you need because it's a specific moment in time, and it's my specific moment in time in a a historical time, and I think the poems don't work without the memoir.
yeah, I think you're dead right of it. 'Cause I
Mhm.
think we're doing such things in a niche market like this, and it gives
Yeah,
it. I think it really gives this book a real richness to it, and I think it's needed. I wouldn't
thank you.
recommend people are wondering about this sort of structure. I wouldn't recommend this of every book, but
No,
in this case, it's definitely needed because it's like otherwise it's too niche. And I think you're right. But I felt a lot like I knew you and your husband Paul after this. A lot I did.
yeah.
That's why it's like looking back at it now. Are you shocked with some of the memories that you were writing about when you're doing this book?
I am actually, as I came to edit it and put it together, I'd forgotten a lot of it. Say because it was written over so many years.
Yeah,
I'd
'cause you've
forgotten
you've
these
been back in England
stories.
now for quite some time, you and your family,
Yes,
haven't you?
we came back in '96, so it's like 28 years.
Yes,
Yeah,
man, a good few years ago, yeah, straight away.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and say completely like I said, it's looking back like you forget stuff because the book's been in Gen State, whatever it's been developing for so many years. You do. I would have forgotten a lot of that memories as well, so it's
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
Where did the idea from bringing in Wesley? I think he's one of your sons, Wesley, isn't he? If
Yes,
memory's
he's my
correct.
eldest son.
The eldest son,
Well,
isn't he? So yeah,
but this blog I told you about, when once it was finished, I thought, right, well, I've got it all down. I'm done with it. And I told Wes I was closing the blog. He said, okay, fine. He said, uh, I just want to look at something on there. And then he just that coda that's it's in the book. He just posted that on the blog before I closed it.
wow, wow.
Without, he didn't tell me. He just did it. I was delighted with that. And again, I know it's unusual to have the author's child post something, write something in the book as well. And I didn't know if Jane would go for it, but she loved it. So
I
it's
did as well.
amazing actually
I
how
did
many
as
people have
well.
said, yeah, a lot of people have said to me, oh, I really love the coda at the end there that written by Wesley. So, you know,
It's a different
mm,
way of looking back at your memories that way.
yes.
I think it's very, very effective, honestly. That's
Mm,
why straight away with it. So I really thought, yeah, the perfect conclusions to the book straight away with that. So
yeah.
that's why brilliant stuff. Now, what plans do you have next then for your creativity? Is there anything you can reveal?
I'm going to start working on I have a lot of eco poems. I'm very concerned about climate change, as
Yeah,
many of
I've
us
heard a
are.
few. I've heard a few of them at Stockport as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's my next collection I'm going to focus on. You know, sorting through what I've got and then seeing what I need to have a complete collection, and then find a publisher if Jane
Yeah.
doesn't want to publish
Hopefully this one won't
them.
take you 30 years to find, right?
Yeah. But again, they've been written over about 20 years. So I have all of these poems in loose collections on my computer, imagine I write a poem, bung it in a folder and leave it. But because I'm so concerned about climate change, I thought that's what I need to focus on next.
It's very similar to the way I've used to write poetry. That I used to have like 7 or 8 folders on the go, and sometimes it took me 10, 15 years to do one
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
But it's not necessarily the best way of doing it, but it's what
It's what
it is.
works for you,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
what works for your life,
Yeah,
works for you as well. I can get you completely with that. I agree. So
yeah.
good luck with their next forthcoming book. So, but where can people get hold of a copy of Tales from Rainbow Nation?
Okay, at the moment, Seven Arches Press, their website, you can order direct from Jane. And it's not stocked in bookshops at the moment. But it'll be going into independent bookshops. But you can order it sort of through Waterstones or whatever if you request it.
Good to me. She's recommended this people straight away with it. So I'm really, I can
Yeah.
only wholeheartedly recommend this one.
Thank
Okay,
you.
social media plugs. If people want to book you, say, for a workshop or get in contact with you about readings, where do
Yes,
you recommend they go?
okay, I have a website, a brand new website. If you Google my name, it should come up. I've the Laughing Housewife blog is still up there, and Poetry Fluff blog is still up there. So you will find me on the internet. But I can give you the link at the end to the
Yes,
website,
yes,
and you can
please.
contact me through that.
Brilliant. Yeah,
Uh,
yes, please. I
yeah,
think I've got it, but I want to make sure I've got the right one.
yeah.
So we'll talk on that in a minute. Yeah, but brilliant, Linda. Thank you for that today. Okay, folks. Yeah, that's the end of part one. We shall be back in two shakes of the dice, and Linda's going to read out quite a few of the poems as the second half. So see you all soon.